what you see in Tijuana right now is basically an emboldened new generation cartel looking to take over everything. It experienced a theft of a large load of cocaine that went to one of its main rivals in the region, and they decided to basically bring a little bit of Jalisco to Baja, to Tijuana specifically, and they brought with them some of their capabilities that they've been showcasing and utilizing to great effect in places like Zacatecas, Jalisco, even some of the conflicts that are going on right now in Culiacan and Sonora. Drones. Drones carrying a payload of what appears to be almost a pipe bomb type device. I've seen different variations of this. Some more homemade than others, but they basically brought with them new capabilities. An attack like this had never been seen in Baja. Not in the way that it was done. Apparently, 3 devices were detonated in the parking lot of the anti-kidnapping unit in a place called Playa de Tijuana, right on the border, which not only triggered an alert from local authorities and federal authorities on the Mexican side, but also apparently triggered a response on the U.S. side. There was a lot of air traffic and some response on that side of the border. Now, you are seeing a flood of federal agents all over Baja right now trying to take control of the situation, and it's a hammer against a cockroach. I mean, there's no way. But with this recent attack, what you're seeing is basically kind of where we're going, where the game is going in Mexico. In the past, you were seeing multiple cartels kind of battling it out for ultimate control and dominance, and now you're seeing a single one basically achieving that. We've gone from them announcing themselves as the Matacetas or the Zeta killers a bit over a decade ago, to now some of them openly patrolling parts of Sinaloa, which was unheard of only 3 years ago. Nobody would have guessed that. So what you're seeing now is the solidification of this cartel organization in Mexico that is hyper militarized, that has very, very deep pockets and capabilities, who we just learned were piggybacking some of their arms trafficking into Mexico with some of the same aspects of oil trafficking that was just discovered at a high level in Mexico. And so it is a rat's nest of the highest degree that has been found. Another interesting aspect of this is I've been talking to some of my friends who are in the arms industry, and some bloggers that are kind of in that space, and some of the current conversations about Ukrainian conflict educated individuals coming to Mexico and kind of like figuring out how some of these technologies kind of intertwine with their world. What we've been finding is some very sophisticated and very knowledgeable individuals basically doing large scale arms purchases through legitimate sources within the European scape. Basically, they go and buy arms legally in the European space, import them to a North African country of some sort that they have contacts with, and as soon as it reaches the port, it switches labels and it goes to Mexico. Now, that's why we're seeing some interesting weapons platforms showing up in a lot of this, these conflicts. We're seeing, backpack, the whole Predator minigun with a backpack rounds. We just saw this cartel blogger post a bunch of these cartel dudes with these backpacks fully loaded.
Really?
Yes. We're seeing anti-drone weaponry, basically some of these space guns showing up all over the conflict space in Mexico as well. And finally, we're seeing these. We're seeing some of the wired, capable drones showing up finally in Mexico. This very quick arms race between drones, anti-drone guns, and disruptors, because we've also seen these big modules signal disruptors that you probably are familiar with, that the U.S. kind of utilized in some of the last conflicts in the Middle East. Now we're
Jammers.
seeing them, these Pelican cases that you attach to these antennas, and they're basically blacking out any signals in an area. So
Yeah, we use those. We use those so that you didn't get blown up by remote devices.
that is
Um,
now common cartel modus operandi in some parts of Mexico, and that's why
yeah,
they're
so
moving to wire drones.
yeah, exactly. So same thing overseas. Once we moved to the jammers, then they went down to pressure plates, and so whether so it's always some kind of system. They just transition to the next thing. What I want to mention also is that the Border Patrol, they have significant kind of counter drone techniques recently. They've had to really get more sophisticated with that because of so much drone activity. They were tracking just thousands of drones were being active now, not for bomb purposes, right? More for recon, more for different just kind of surveillance, whatever that was, but thousands of drones across the borders, thousands of them. So they started implementing some drone counter kind of I guess tactics. But now that you're seeing them carrying, explosives similar to what you see in Ukraine,
Yes.
I see there's a concern. But like my big question to someone who has to you with this experience is like, I personally don't see how it would be smart for them to ever attack us. And also just kind of the nature of what the cartel kind of, I guess they're kind of their I would say TTPs or kind of their standard operating procedures usually is not to injure or hurt anyone in America. Has that changed, do you think? Or is there a moment where they would?
Yeah, we just lived through a few like major incidents. One, somewhere in Baja Sur, they found this big cartel message, Lona, where it was basically saying that it's going to start a certain organization was going to start targeting Americans in Baja Sur for.
Yeah, we saw that.
I mean, again, like intimidation. This is a classic cartel thing. You have a cartel that is in command or has a protectorate over a region, and then you'll see a rival cartel come in and say like, oh, you're paying these guys for protection. Well, let me start burning your businesses to see how ineffective they are. And it's a common tactic. A lot of people message me about it, kind of freaking out about this open threat now on Americans. It's not unheard of, and I view it more as a propaganda thing. View it more as a psychological terror thing. I haven't seen a shift in that regard where they're openly or going hands-free when it comes to either blowing up a federal agent on the other side of the border or targeting Americans specifically in Mexico. I haven't seen that yet. And I think most of what you hear and see online around that has a tint of propaganda to it.
Yeah.
Or fear-mongering to it. It's bad for business, and a lot of these cartels organizations are very much tied to the hip on anything related to the American structure. So they wouldn't call so much attention to themselves. I think, but you do see more rhetoric around that fact now since the competition between these organizations is getting to such a heated level. There are rumors, and I'm sure you've heard some of these already, and I've heard some on my side of U.S. Special Operations already basically quietly and not as openly as we're seeing in the Caribbean, but that they're already in some way, shape, or form actively working on dismantling some of these structures that these organizations have in places like the Gulf of Baja or in Baja in general.